Ojo Aba Meta Meta, third Saturday in October, 29th in Seawall, Galveston, Texas. Galveston, formerly known as Turtle Island, was a marketplace block for selling human cargo during the transatlantic slave trade. That cargo was many of our ancestors who never chose to be enslaved. We must not let this truth of history be revised, and there were others of our ancestors who were already here, drying their eyes from trails of tears. Fourth Saturday in autumn equinox, Libra season, third decan, harvest season. The season where Onile, or the spirit of Mother Earth, thins the veil between Orun, heaven, and earth. Aye. The collective voice of our ancestors amplify their presence, hence All Hallows Eve, Halloween, Dia de los Muertos, and Sankofa, the caravan to the ancestors. These celebrations all fall like leaves off a tree during this season. Sankofa. It means to go back. It means to go back to give thanks and praises to the Creator, regardless of the name in which we call him or her. To remember our ancestors, the ones we know not by name, and their ultimate sacrifice. We go back to remember our recent ancestors and the wisdom their lives left behind. We go back to reflect on where we've been, to be clearer on where we are headed. And this is my personal diary of the last decade of experiences while attending the Sankofa Caravan to the Ancestors, hosted by the Houston chapter of the National Black United Front, and how these experiences changed my life. I'm Mayantha J. Muse, and you are watching and listening to Sankofa Mewa, the Diary of 10 Caravans. Ashe. Sankofa 2015. Royalty Reigns. This diary entry is dedicated to the memory of LaNisha Simon. I had not yet met her at the time the events in this diary took place. During the production of these diaries was when I received the unfortunate news of her untimely passing. And this diary focuses the most on fashion and adornment. And as trivial as we may try to make it, we have always been a people who took great pride in our appearance, no matter what the occasion. And it made me think of LaNisha, her beautiful spirit, and her amazing contributions to the world of fashion. So I dedicate this diary as a literary libation to the memory of LaNisha Simon. Royalty reigns forever. Ekuse Hinde, libations. Ashe. Pataki, oni mi ojo aba meta, owara medogun, odunegbawa medogun, meridilogun awon ojo igba oru. Diary. Today is Saturday, October 15, 2015, 16 days into autumn equinox. The day vibrated on a 6, a day of manifesting material values. The moon was waxing in the 9th house of Sagittarius, and it was an 8-year, a year of infinity and ripeness. The energy of this year was better than ever before. I was growing more active in the community, more comfortable in my beliefs and practices of the ancient ways, and going deeper into my creative side with bottle art and jewelry. By now, the Orisha Oya had been identified as my mother, and life was making more sense to me than ever before. My work as a spiritual counselor was gaining much more momentum, and while I loved it, cabin fever was setting in and I longed for the water. This year for Sankofa, I didn't want to go too deep, as I deal with the depths of everything on a daily basis. So I went this year to give offerings and gratitude, to relax my mind, to have some fun and love on me some black people. This year's caravan felt the most organic of all the diaries. This year's Sankofa found me at the Mbuff house, adorning with the other ladies in the house. Group adorning is a whole other energy from when you're doing it alone. The feminine energy was ancestral, complete with face painting, makeup, sewing, fixing each other's headdresses, and even a collective effort in fixing the zipper on my dress when it got stuck. We all helped each other look our best, and it was amazing. This was the first year I rode with the actual Mbuff caravan, escorted by the Houston Police Department. This was the first year I rode with the actual Mbuff caravan, escorted by the Houston Police Department. This year marked the first time I experienced the ceremony held in front of the Mbuff house before loading in the cars to head for Galveston. I watched Awo Ade give the ceremony and pouring libations, giving thanks and praises to the Creator, the Egungun, Eshu, and Ogun for safe travels. And it was so beautiful to see a woman in the position of clergy, and I felt more comfortable with my own warrior sense of feminine authority. Then, all who didn't have a ride were there to step into the center of the circle, so those who had room in their cars could offer a space, ensuring that no one was left behind. Beautiful. I ended up in the back seat of a car belonging to a mystic merchant named Sade Perkins. Remember in the last diary entry when I said that caravan was for connecting, or should I say, reuniting with spiritual family? Well, here it happened again. We enjoyed laughter and refreshing conversation all the way to the beach. After that, we were social butterflies, parting ways, bonding with others, and just saturating in the ceremony. Whew, just something about those drums. This was the Sankofa in which I was the most social, losing more pliable and letting myself enjoy life in the divine moment. I took the time to enjoy the fashion parade, and everyone looked amazing in their different expressions of white, much like the ancient times. Those different expressions of white were clues to the energies of persona. The elder priest and the officiating ones were adorned in their elaborate crowns and robes in traditional cloth. The crowns were gorgeous. The staffs, the face paints. The women were various expressions of divine feminine beauty, and not at all stingy with the accessories or tribal designs on the face. The men looked relaxed, handsome, ancient, and in this frame of life, we were a mosaic of beautiful black people. We knew it, and we were basking. The ancestors were clearly happy that year, because this is the caravan in which I remember the most laughter. I participated in the group ceremonies and danced in the drum circle more this year than I did the other 3 years I attended. Our ancient ways saturated my being more and more every year I attended Sankofa. It became a holiday that I held in higher regard than any other holiday I'd ever celebrated, except my solar returns, of course. Every year brought new discovery, new revelations, new understandings, and new connections, and this was no different, an enhancement to my improving spiritual life. And when it came to fashion, I found myself laying out what I'd wear to Sankofa like I lay out my Sunday clothes. I was even given the honor this year of sharing poetry at the luncheon following the beach ceremony, and it was there where I did my very first rendition of The Dance of the Whispered Symphony, one of my original poems, dedicated to the ancestors and all that they've done, all that they're doing, and all that they will do. This was truly a beautiful caravan in which I allowed myself to just kick back, relax, and enjoy the fashion and beauty of us as a people. Ashe.